You are watching Xirtus.
Condoms for Gaza, $50 million.
Here, let's watch the video.
With so little notice, why not give organizations more time to plan for the fact that they are about to lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding, at least for a period of time?
There was notice. It was the executive order that the president signed. There's also a freeze on hiring, as you know, a regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration how hard the American people are working. And their tax dollars actually matter to this administration. You know, just during this pause, Doge and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. Doge and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money. So that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
I mean,
speaking of frozen condoms, have you ever heard of an Alaskan pipeline?
Yeah.
I mean, it just feels like that was what the subtext of that entire premise. It was all they're talking Alaskan pipeline.
Hookers, strippers like Courtney Love in Alaska and like crack pipeline. Yeah, I feel like that's true.
Yeah. Do you remember when Courtney Love found the missing flight of whatever, the Malaysian flight? And she
when she shot that guitar guy?
No, she circled it. She did a tweet many years ago when everyone was looking for the plane, and she saw these black spots on the ocean. She circled them, and she was like, "Is this the plane?" And I was like, she heard that Kurt Cobain was on a plane and he couldn't complain, and so she was like just looking for Kurt, and she found him. But anyway,
oh my god,
that was probably it. I think she nailed it, honestly. But yeah, really.
What the heck's the deal with that? Because she's obviously like, there's something to that as well. I mean, I don't know. We could segue into Courtney Love, but just the idea of Gaza condoms. What do you think the point of the? No, I mean, it's interesting to me also just the idea of a handler for Kurt Cobain that I can't even accuse her publicly, right? But just with the condom thing, what do you think is going on with Gaza and the condoms? Because this is also with Ukraine too. There are all sorts of stories where like we need to send billions of dollars to these other countries because, you know, emotionally high feeling white upper middle class liberal women, you know, like are just supporting this, and now we find out what the money's actually going for.
I know people are really emphasizing that statistics can be faked, and look at the statistics of the age of people in Palestine. So like of the people in Gaza, you know, they're like the biggest, like there's so many children. It's crazy how the children outnumber the adults in Gaza. So maybe that's what they're focused on. I don't know. Like
culturally, you know, wouldn't all sides be somewhat opposed to condoms just by their very nature?
Well, I mean, if you're going to go into I could stir things up here, but when people talk about genocide and you want to talk about the technicalities of things, you're like, well, if the birth rate is higher than the death rate, what do we call that then? You know, so like that's a lot of people,
right? Well, making use of the condoms, I mean, could be construed as like a form of eugenics in a way, right? But at the same time, would either side, would Palestine or Israel actually be like, oh yeah, I've been looking for condoms?
I mean they're gonna say they take out all the feeling. So what's the, you know, it's not like a burqa, you know, they can't enforce it the same way. Like, you know, this is in people's own
but even on like a cultural religious aspect, aren't they sort of looked down upon by both religions universally?
Right. You've seen Every Sperm is Sacred from Monty Python. That's that's the Protestants, right? No, the Catholics versus the Protestants. I can go down to that store anytime I want, and I can get a French tickler. I can get whatever, you know. And then the wife is just, why don't you dare? He's like, I'm just saying, I could. You know? You guys,
this is just a move from Big Condom, I think.
I think you're muted.
I mean, I was gonna say we can also do the Bush story, but I was gonna really quickly let me look also at the Doge Grok conversation I just started here. Doge just stopped $50 million worth of wasting of condom money, but why were $50 million worth of condoms going to Gaza? Health and population control. One primary reason for sending such quantities to a region like Gaza is framed around public health and population control. The goal is to provide access to contraception, misuse of aid. These were reports that condoms were being repurposed for non-intended uses. Notably,
Balloon animals.
Aggression. Well, what can you put? What kind of flammable? What kind of retardants can you put? You know what I mean? There's probably something like a bomb. Napalm in a condom sounds like a pretty serious weapon. I don't know if
That's why we're sending condoms with the repurposed.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that Gaza can make weapons.
Tanks.
You got to give weapons to Palestinians, and you're not allowed to send them certain kinds of weapons. So you send them the parts that they can use to make weapons themselves, right? That way, there's a reason for Israelis to continue fighting them. Was that too
What
deep?
am I
Was that
thinking?
too
Like I
crazy?
keep hearing like flowers for. I'm sorry, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I'm going to go Star Wars reference, but flowers for Alderaan. What is Algernon? And what is the story where
Flowers
the
for
kid? It's like awakenings, you know, where the kid is cured of his disability, mental disability, then he goes back or whatever.
Flowers for
thinking like condoms
Algernon.
for Gaza should be like the name of some play or something. Like that just feels like, you know, like, oh, did you go see Flowers for Gaza or Condoms for Gaza? Oh yeah, no, it's incredible. You got to go see it. I'm sorry.
This is how every one of my books starts, David. I mean, it usually starts on this premise, and you're like, how come no one's picking up this torch?
But no, there actually is some pretty cool evidence about, like, I mean, what kind of cool things that you could watch on a TikTok video about what you can make with condoms. I'm impressed every day with what I see on TikTok, people making with condoms. But from explosives to kites, flaming kites. What did I just see? There was look at these crazy condom bombs.
That guy's a lunatic.
What is that, hydrogen?
A lunatic. I don't know, but it seems crazy. I mean, look at it's got God's name written on it, probably. Like, ugh. That seems kind of interesting to me that they're making weapons out of condoms. I mean, pretty exciting.
This still could just be part of it because, you know, you throw a bunch of like naughty condoms in a room full of children that first they start playing around with it, but really they're interested in what they're really for, right? That's the underlying. So in this case, it's like, of course they're going to make bombs with it. They make bombs out of everything that you give them. So this is just a natural like progression of that. But the importance is that they're getting used to it, the shape, the feel, the smell, like they're becoming acclimated to it. So the next time that it comes up in a normal conversation or when they actually are trying to prevent them from having more offspring, it's no, like they've gotten over the novelty aspect of like, haha, I made balloon animals, I made bombs. Now it's like, maybe I really should use one of those. This is all just the steps towards that.
The comments right now are off the charts, man. Scott DeBlois says Trojan horse. Okay, and also the people saying drug smuggling, which is interesting. Yeah.
Oh, great point.